Netflix might have a lot to offer, but critics aren't crazy about all of their originals. Well, we beg to differ. In fact, there's a lot to love when it comes to some of the streaming services' less than critically acclaimed fare. Here's a reappraisal of the Netflix series that critics were totally wrong about. Vanity Fair posited that Girlboss might have been Netflix's first truly terrible show, a smug summation of millennials at their worst embodied by supposed heroine and wannabe mogul Sophia Amoruso. It didn't help that the real-life Amoruso, CEO of online fashion retailer Nasty Gal, was catching flack for her business practices as the show premiered. Girlboss wasn't just bad, it was badly timed as well, according to critics at least.
Come on, Sophia. You can do this. You do not want a bad review. A bad review is death.
But the show, on its own, is a whip-smart delight. Critics slammed the fictionalized Amoruso for being imperfect, accusing her character of being vapid and narcissistic. The reality is simpler. This is a show about a person being as messy and fallible as people often are. Audiences don't care if Amoruso makes mistakes. In fact, that's why they're watching. We love it in Don Draper, we love it in Walter White, and we love it in Sophia Amoruso. She's a brat? Sure. She's ruthless? Bring it on. We're not here for a lesson. We're here for a story, and Girlboss delivers with drama and style to spare.
Oh, did I just detect the tiniest gleam of interest on your face?
This impassioned biopic chronicles the controversial life and death of Madalyn Murray O'Hair, the founder of the American Atheists and the leader of the push to take prayer out of public schools.
You better start a damn praying, because we're going to take this all the way to the Supreme Court if we have to.
Critics called it disjointed and unfocused, claiming that it ping-ponged crazily between comedy, tragedy, and points in between. This isn't entirely untrue. The most hated woman in America plays fast and loose with the audience's expectations. But the reality is that O'Hair's life, which included legal victories, family drama, and an untimely and violent death, was just as bizarre and prone to wild shifts. Anchored by Melissa Leo's stirring performance, it is a film as utterly unique as its subject, a journey from deep love to towering pride and all that comes from the collision of those two fundamental forces. O'Hair resists categorization. She's neither the triumphant crusader nor the sneering witch. This movie honors that and chooses to live in the volatile in-between where she can be the person she was, frustrating, contradictory, and driven by unshakable conviction. Chloe Grace Moretz plays Susanna Cahalan in this terrifying descent into medical turmoil based on the real-life Cahalan's battle with anti-NMDA receptor encephalitis. Her symptoms are harrowing and sudden, sending her into periods of rage, paranoia, and extreme sensitivity that seem to have no cause. Doctors suggest all manner of incorrect diagnoses as Cahalan sinks further and further into abject suffering, grabbing desperately at remedies for exhaustion, schizophrenia, and sleep deprivation.
You gotta get me out of here. I don't belong here. And they're all saying bad stuff about me.
Critics claim the movie relied too heavily on cliches, which means they're probably ignoring the fact that Cahalan's story really did end with an 11th hour deus ex machina. The moment the right doctor identified the illness ravaging her brain and the relatively straightforward road to recovery it led her on.
You're going to be just fine. I found you.
Beyond this, however, is Moretz's underrated performance, which veers wildly as her character's brain careens more and more off track. Brain on Fire ends with an unlikely victory, but it's first and foremost a story about illness, the way it can destabilize a life, the way it launches sufferers into a strange and scary new world of uncertainty, and the way it can be solved by the unlikeliest confluence of fate. This adaptation of L.M. Montgomery's beloved Anne of Green Gables series has proved divisive, to say the least. Longtime fans and critics alike condemn its darkness. Rather than leaving Anne's traumatic childhood behind, it examines how her experiences might have shaped her in the form of flashbacks and panic attacks. Moreover, characters like Gilbert Blythe, Anne's love interest, and Matthew and Marilla, the brother and sister who become parents to Anne, are given entirely original subplots of their own. Critics argue that these additions are unnecessary at best, needlessly grim at worst. No one returns to Anne Shirley's adventures for pathos, they argue. They want what they already love.
You know too well the impact of an untimely death. Anne has suffered so much loss.
The vast majority of the series is faithful to Montgomery's starry-eyed vision. Anne loses herself in the pleasures of friendship, raspberry cordial, and teaching other orphans to read. This adaptation is merely interested in examining the hardships that make the cheery moments possible.
All we can do is our best, Marilla. Regardless of what we know or don't know.
It's true enough.
This chronicle of a 1930s Iowa farmers' strike was derided by critics for feeling overlong and more than a little like homework. While it might not be everyone's cup of tea, for the connoisseur of historical drama, Damnation is anything but dull. It's a brutal story, to be sure, and it doesn't offer hope without reason. In a world crowded with happy-go-lucky hobos riding trains to Rock Candy Mountain, there is a need for a show as dark in tone as Damnation.
You seem to be shooting at your chickens.
No, I'm shooting at that egg-stealing son of a coward in there with him. Can't afford to lose more eggs.
The writing is strong, the performances passionate, and the drama is rooted in a real American struggle that echoes to this day. It is, in fact, very much in line with the American tradition of flinty-eyed worker stories. If it's grim, it's because it's telling the truth, and there is always room for the truth in our adaptations of the past. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about your favorite stuff are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.